Hi, my name's Conan Daly, and this video will give you the highlights of my game Oblivion Galaxy. Oblivion Galaxy is a mid-weight Euro-style game for 1 to 4 players about the logistics of survival in the face of certain doom. It takes around 30 minutes per player and is primarily a worker placement and recall game. The game uniquely features a map that collapses in on itself in response to player actions, acting as a variable timer that players can influence depending on their strategy. Players work to build their economic engine, which is partially shared by all, and sacrifice redundant pieces of that engine when the doom draws near. In the distant future, prophetic cults have discovered that vortices of entropic force are approaching the galaxy, which is surely doomed. The goal of the game is to save as many of your coloured meeples as possible before the galaxy is consumed completely. You can do this by building up your economy, by placing workers, called acolytes in this game, placing facilities on the board, processing resources, and eventually building one of these methods of escaping the galaxy. Then it is a race against time to send people through reality gates, build Dyson spheres, or train them to transcend their physical forms as quickly as possible, because all the time the doom is consuming the remaining space on the map. As the board shrinks, the rich sectors on the outer edge are the first to be lost, making the scrabble for resources that bit more desperate as the game goes on. Individual turns are very simple. Players have 2 options. First, they can choose a sector to place any number of acolytes on, with the option of building a facility first. Placed acolytes grant resources or operate their facilities to bring you closer to winning. Alternatively, they can recall all their acolytes from the map to their board, pay an upkeep cost, and then advance a doom marker. Once they've done that, they have the option to deconstruct facilities for resources and place acolytes on the limited gold slots on some facilities. What players are working towards is to build and then make use of one of the 4 methods of saving their people from the coming doom. The player-run cults can transform their people into dark matter entities, or send them through gates into another, safer reality. They can build and launch Dyson spheres, or train their acolytes to transcend physical matter itself. Each of these different methods awards an amount of points corresponding to how difficult, time-consuming, or costly it is. Some methods score higher, but take longer to implement and risk the game ending before they can be completed. Acolytes that are saved are placed in a scoreboard area, which quickly gives feedback on who is in the lead at a glance. Each player has a total of 25 meeples to save, providing a theoretical cap on points. If a player manages to save all their people, then all their facilities on the board fall into ruin, freeing up space for the other players, but from that point on, they move a doom marker every round, bringing about the end that bit faster. This dynamic, greater point awards for more time-consuming strategies versus saving everyone quickly and ending the game, provides one of the core inflection points of Oblivion Galaxy. As players can use each other's facilities, it is possible to sample from each other's strategies to maximise your score with the least possible effort, if the other players don't block you first. Oblivion Galaxy is built around the core experience of having a relaxed and expansive early game, which transitions to a desperate struggle to save everyone before it's too late. Since the timer and pace are influenced by player strategies, the mid-game revolves around a decision to either hold on to a higher scoring strategy and hope you have the time to pull it off, or pivot to a lower scoring strategy and try and execute it as quickly as possible to draw the veil down on players who are still going. So it is in equal parts a calculation of how much time you have left to execute your chosen strategy and whether the other players will give you that much time. Here's a quick sample of one round to illustrate how the game flows. It's Red's turn, and they decide to place acolytes on the map. They choose this sector, which has one of their mines on it, indicated by the red marker. They can place any number of acolytes that fit, so they're going to place 3. Each acolyte placed grants the amount in minerals that are revealed on the underlying sector tile, for a total of 9 minerals. Now it's Green's turn. They decide to place acolytes as well, and opt to build a temple facility in this sector. Green has already increased their network reach to 2, so they can place acolytes 2 sectors away from one of their existing markers. So, they take a temple from the supply, pay its cost on the front of the tile, flip it over and place it on the map. They take one of their markers and place it in the round slot. Then, they take 2 acolytes and place them in empty slots on the tile. Each slot has a cost of 1 organics and recruits 2 new acolytes for a total of 4. Recruited acolytes go into the in-transit area in their board and can be used after Green's next recall. Green also earns 2 energy from the sector beneath, and that's their turn complete. Orange is up next, and they're in need of some advanced resources, so they decide to make use of Green's crystallizer here. They have a network reach of 2, so they can reach it no problem. So, They place acolytes in each of the 3 empty spaces on the crystallizer. They then pay the slot costs of 3 organics and minerals and gain 3 biometal, plus 3 minerals from the sector below. For permission to use the facility, they must also pay green 3 cash, a fixed cost of 1 per acolyte. Now it's Blue's turn, and they find themselves in quite a good position. Most of their acolytes are on the map, so Blue chooses a recall action. A recall has 5 steps, which are performed in order. The first step is to take back your acolytes in play and return them to the acolyte track on your player board. Blue has 3 acolytes on a reality gate here, which saves acolytes recalled from it. These are placed in the corresponding area of the scoreboard, scoring 2 points each. They are now saved, and Blue no longer has to worry about them. The next step of a recall is to pay upkeep, an amount shown by the number on your acolyte track beside the rightmost acolyte. Upkeep is paid in cash, and any other resource can be converted to cash 1 for 1. Next, Blue must choose and move one of the black doom markers on the map. Blue chooses to move a marker here, which will consume the sector and doom any acolytes on it. Facilities on a consumed sector are returned to the supply, while the sector tile itself goes back in the box. This means that every recall action, a sector of the map will be lost, reducing the space and time left for players to implement their plans. Next, Blue could decide to deconstruct any facility with their marker on it, which would reclaim most of the resources used in their construction, as indicated on the right of the tile. They choose not to do this for the moment. And finally, Blue can place acolytes from their board onto any gold slots on facilities they own. Currently, that's these 2 facilities, which they will place 1 acolyte on each. More advanced buildings tend to have gold slots, which offer a bit of action efficiency to their owners. That's Blue's turn over. Back around to Red. Red places 2 acolytes on their sun yard, which is an advanced facility that constructs segments of a sphere. Red has already built a sphere gantry and can now afford to build the utilities and habitation segments. These are added to the gantry in Red's player area. By building the remaining 2 segments later, Red will be able to fill their sphere with acolytes and launch it to save all of them in a single action. So, that's how the game flows. Players continue taking turns in the same order until all the remaining tiles have a doom marker on them, at which point the game ends and everyone totals up their scores. A variable play experience is provided by 2 main elements. The first being the random selection and location of sector tiles on each individual map, and the second being the asymmetric abilities provided by each player's chosen cult and how they interact. Cults provide unique powers that can fundamentally change the experience of play. For example, the mournful ones score 2 points instead of losing 1 for each of their acolytes that are consumed by the doom. It's not enough to win in the game, but it is enough to incentivize them to take more risks and play closer to the doom tokens. The Communion of Renewal can construct new facilities to replace their old ones already on the board, which are automatically deconstructed in the process. This allows them to be very efficient with resources and space, especially in the late game. The Fervent Doctrine can pay cash to return their acolytes on the map to their track prior to placement, so they can use their facilities again and again and again as long as they can afford it. There are a total of 15 different cults in the game, providing a huge amount of replayability and a lot of variation in every play. Going back to our game in progress, it is near the end of the game and the red player needs to complete their sphere and launch it to save their last acolytes. So they opt to do a recall action, taking all their acolytes back and paying their upkeep. Then they move a doom token, sending 2 green acolytes to their deaths. To complete their sphere, they need to build the core segment, which they don't currently have the resources to do. So during the last part of their recall, they can place acolytes on gold slots to try and gather what they need. Red is playing as a cult that allows them to use slots in their spheres as if they were gold spaces. So if they're able to complete it, then they can launch it straight away. So combining everything they have left, they build the core, launch their sphere, and score a bunch of points, leaving only a few souls behind, sacrificed for the greater good. Oblivion Galaxy is currently available as a playtest mod on Tabletop Simulator, and you can find more details and a link to the rulebook on my website and linked in the description. Thanks for your time.